its trial court records related to the Mumbai attacks following an application filed by the NIA requesting the retrieval from Mumbai. We have with us Major General Sanjay Mason, retired Defence and Strategic Affairs expert. We have also with us Yashwardhan Azad, the former Special Director, IB, and we have in the studio Aditya Raj Kaul, a person from News9 itself, who in fact will speak or has been detailing the story from himself and who has been giving us the idea of why is it important that we have Rana in our net. Well, let's start with Aditya Raj, who has been tracking this entire story for a long time and has in fact knows about how the entire nook and corner of this entire story of trying to reach out and to get Rana has been with regards to Indian. It's been 17 years. You know, it is one of the longest one of the longest attempts to in fact move legally, go through international red tapeism, and a determined effort that has been carried out to get this person. But it's been 17 years. International red tapeism has delayed it for quite some time. We have different agencies, but still we have to go through that procedure of, going through the court, getting things done. Could it have been done a little earlier?
Well, of course it could have been done earlier, but either there was lack of political will, either on the Indian side or the side of the United States, because India had made a lot of efforts, a lot of attempts in the last 17 years to get both Tahawwur Rana and David Coleman Headley. India in fact also got an opportunity to interrogate Loknath Behra, had interrogated David Coleman Headley in US, but the extradition was not possible. Now, before I go to the nitty-gritties, I would sum this up in three important scales. One is the political will. I think the Indian government has shown the political will. Even after 17 years, we will go after terrorists who actually launched this dastardly attack. Second is, of course, the India-US strategic cooperation and partnership. This displays that it is at its zenith, but yes, a lot more can be achieved, such as the David Coleman Headley's extradition, because he is also a key conspirator to this entire puzzle of Mumbai 26/11. But the most significant and important, and which our two panelists will also highlight, is that Indian intelligence agencies and Indian security agencies have long memories. And this signifies that even after 17 years, the officers might have changed. Those officers who were young at that time, leading the investigations both from the NIA, the Mumbai police and the RNAW, are senior officers today. Some of them have retired. But they will continue to go after the terrorists. I can tell you that a young officer who was investigating the case from the NIA at that time is a senior RNAW officer now, and one of the Mumbai police officials who was injured in a grenade thrown by Ajmal Kasab is the DG and the chief of the NIA, Sadanand Date, today. So certainly, I think the Indian government has shown the will, but now is the most significant time to get the custodial interrogation, interrogate him on the key elements such as Sajid Mir, such as Major Iqbal, and all those people from the Pakistani ISI and the army who were involved directly in this conspiracy. And finally, we will unravel, because a lot is known to the intelligence agencies, a lot has not come into the public space, that how the Pakistan deep state was directly involved in the Mumbai 26/11 conspiracy. We have a statement that has just come from the Pakistan government also, the Foreign Office, saying that we do not have anything to do with Tahawwur Rana. He has not renewed his Pakistani documents for 2 decades, and he in fact is a Canadian citizen.
Plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability, because obviously he was an ISI man. Tahawwur Rana is not just an immigration agent. He is an ISI man. He's serving in the Pakistan army, and he was deliberately planted in Canada and later in Chicago to facilitate David Coleman Headley and Pakistan ISI's plan in the Mumbai 26/11 attacks.
Let's in fact even get in our other guests who are with us. We have Major General Sanjay Mason with us. Major General, did this also happen because a lot has changed geopolitically around South Asia, Afghanistan, with regards to Pakistan's position right now? I mean, this also could have in fact made sure that Rana can be extradited.
Yeah, very true. I think first and foremost, the political will matters the most. I think the political will at the Indian highest level was a very, very important factor, and that sets a pace to the things happening. It gives an impetus. And of course, the National Investigation Agency has done an exceedingly good job. For 17 years, they have been fighting this case. And it is not easy to fight your judiciary or legal cases in US where you have to have their lawyers, etc. So I think they made a very good case, and that is how the things have worked very well, and especially pressurizing President Trump by Prime Minister Modi has also paid the result. So at the end of the day, it has been exceedingly good that we have achieved this extradition. So that is point one. Now, point two is you have mentioned about the geopolitical situation. See, I also feel today Pakistan's role has diminished to quite an extent in the eyes of the United States. You just see the latest example. President Trump has waived off, the bounty on Haqqani group. Basically, Sirajuddin Haqqani and his two cousins. It's been waived off. That is something to be noted of. And why it has been waived off is because Pakistan, United States realizes that Taliban is a reality, and they have to have some kind of a presence. I think short while you will have the American embassy functioning in Afghanistan. They will have their own plans over there, because I mentioned earlier they have $4.1 trillion worth of mineral reserves in Afghanistan, and of course strategic interest against Iran, against China, and they have to overcome the influence of China in that country. So keeping in mind the global context, the geopolitics in South Asia, I think President Trump and his administration has realized the importance of India, and that is how the alignment has taken place, and we have been fighting terrorism jointly, sharing intelligence, etc. And this is a live case where Americans have helped us. In fact, now the next step is also this David Headley. We have to do lots of interrogation with him, because many things will emerge from Tahawwur Rana, but finally dots will be connected by the Headley. So he is equally important. How we get his extradition is a matter of time, because he is already 35 years in jail. His period is 35 years in the United States jail. So when that gets over, or US gives accessibility, so that's also important. So overall, I think it's a very good effort, and a lot of dots will be connected by his interrogation by the NIA. Our patience has paid, but at the end of the day, I think we will get to know many things, including Indian sympathizers who have been helping Tahawwur Rana, David Headley, and of course all the LET and the ISI operatives. They have been helped.
Well, also we are joined in by Yashwardhan Azad, former Special Director, IB. Yashwardhan Azad, the question that has been is that, every time there is something as monumental as this, the question of whether India is a soft state has always been there. But this actually proves that India is not a soft state. India's premier organizations, as Aditya Rajkal has been saying, has a long memory, and this is actually proof that we are shedding that image of soft state that somehow tend to have come to us because of a lot of inaction when it comes to a lot of cases. But this actually proves that we are not a soft state.
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to be a little more realistic about the extradition of Tahawwur Rana. You see, as Aditya rightly pointed out, it's been 17 years now. And at best, Tahawwur Rana's trial will give us a confirmatory evidence about the people involved, the ISI, the deep state, Sajid Mir, Lakhvi. But in concrete terms, I don't think we'll be able to get them unless we get better support from, outside nations, especially United States of America. One of the reasons also this fellow has been extradited is because his job was over, or his relevance to United States was over. He was convicted in that Danish case, but he was not convicted in this case, where his involvement in the Mumbai attack was not considered to be direct. And this is surprising because, as Adit rightly said, this man was a military doctor, and he suddenly disappeared. You can't believe that his ties were completely snapped with the Pak ISI or the Pak military. And secondly, as a childhood friend of Headley, the man gets a decision from the court saying that he did not have any direct involvement is also something very strange, I thought. Yes, his coming is a very positive sign, but I don't see anything more beyond this. There is, of course, there's tremendous cooperation with the United States of America, but mind you, United States bureaucracy, the United States systems move as slow as ours. And it is something in the process which has gone on. Because the new government has come for the last 10 years. And we have finally got him now. So, things have not changed much that way. And let me tell you another thing. There are at least 55 more cases of extradition still pending with the United States of America. So, number one, I would say the advantage we have now of getting Tahawwur Rana is that many of the little knots, they were not been able to be tied up by the NIA. That could be tied up during his custodial interrogation, and we'll get a complete picture. Secondly, if there were other people, the other members of the Pak ISI or the Pak embassy or other people who he met during the process while he was in America, that could be another gain that we have. And most probably we might get to know some more players. That is certainly an advantage. But it's unfortunate that we have not been able to get those people from Pakistan. It's also unfortunate that Pakistan gave them sham kind of prison sentence. And also Headley is enjoying a very good time in a very comfortable jail out there. I do hope we must, as the general said, we must keep trying for his extradition. But I have a feeling that because he's already been an agent of the United States, he will only be available to us after he has served his term there. So all in all, a very good positive sign, but much to be read into it.
Well, Aditya, this is the question that some of them in fact have. What is that we are going to get from the big picture when Rana is there? Of course, we'll be tying up a lot of loose ends, but from there, what further? Because a lot of players are still in Pakistan, sheltered by Pakistan, and probably some unknown players who had played in the shadows, like those who had facilitated logistics or who have been facilitators in Western countries for this entire network that carried out with the Mumbai attacks. Those things would come in picture. But the actual perpetrators, the ones who are responsible for this, for that carnage that happened, they are still shielded by Pakistan.
Well, everybody would be shielded by Pakistan. I mean, that is very much clear from the statement that has come out from the Pakistan government today. The Pakistan government clearly has distanced itself and said that, they are not involved in this entire, saga. They do not know Tahawwur Rana at all. He was not a Pakistani citizen. He has not renewed his document, and they blame that he is a Canadian citizen based in Chicago. But the reality of the matter is that Tahawwur Rana was a key player. Often it's said that he was an immigration agent and he only facilitated visa, etc. But his statements in the past interrogation or statements in his conversations with David Coleman Headley and others that have come out clearly indicate that he was not only a very radicalized fellow, he actually wanted desperately action against the Indian state and the Indian people, and especially the Indian army. He did recce. I mean, a week before the 26/11 attacks, Tahawwur Rana, along with his wife, visited several states of India, in particular Mumbai. And I can tell you that he visited a particular society called Jalvayu Vihar in Mumbai, where the veterans of 71 also stay. So he told David Coleman Headley that this should be one of the locations of the attack because 71 veterans stay there, and he wanted to seek revenge for the 71 defeat of Pakistan. Now, the attack could not take place there because this was very far off, 30 kilometers away from the landing place of the 10 terrorists who arrived to do the Mumbai 26/11 attacks. But this clearly also indicates, that Tahawwur Rana knows a lot. He's been in the Pakistan army. He has been recruited by the ISI. He was in touch with the senior officers of the Pakistan army and ISI all through, including through David Coleman Headley and others, with Major Iqbal, Sajid Mir and others. So a lot will come out. What has also happened is that David Coleman Headley gave a statement. I'm afraid it was actually Tahawwur Rana who gave a statement saying that all the terrorists who conducted the attacks in Mumbai 26/11 should be given the highest civilian honors of the Pakistan army and the Pakistan government. So this also clearly indicates the kind of hate that he had for India, for the Indian people, for the Indian army, and he wanted maximum damage. And that's why he also personally came just a week before the attack and was in touch with David Coleman Headley all this while. So a lot of details will certainly come out. It's all right. I mean, it's 17 years. Of course, there would be a lot of questions on why this took so long. Of course, Pakistan did not cooperate at all with the Indian agencies. You could imagine that a Pakistani anchor, an editor, interviewed the family of Ajmal Kasab, and they admitted that he's a Pakistani citizen, and that clip and that entire story went off within hours. So you can imagine the control of the Pakistan GHQ Rawalpindi, that is not just in the Pakistani government interference, but in the entire society, in the entire media, and in the entire system of how things operate. Only a green signal with the Pakistan army can let things happen, even in the Pakistan media. So I think it's a big moment. It's not a time to celebrate, but it's time to actually ensure that there's a speedy trial, and in the interrogation, a lot more really comes out.
We're hoping for that. In fact, let's go back to Sanjay Mason. Major General, one thing is that, currently Pakistan, we've been seeing as a state that is likely or might in the future face an implosion kind of thing. It's not all stable when it comes to its internal provinces as well. In this process, they have to be looking for something external to divert their attention, and constantly India has been that one punching bag that they try to divert their attention to. Are we going to see, no matter what the situation is for Pakistan now, but if as a state that continues for long, are we going to see more such things or more such schemes against India without any hesitation happening at our borders? But is it also possible that this time it's not going to be like how it happened in 26/11? India would in fact retaliate.
See, let's be very clear. What is Pakistan's intent, aim? It is very clear. They want to destabilize India at any cost. That is their strategic aim. And to achieve that, they will do anything. And I think one of the best tools is radicalism. You see these two people, Tahawwur Rana and David Headley, otherwise he is Gilani. You see these two chaps were highly radicalized. Even after this 26/11, they had planned in Denmark against those cartoon issues, they had planned that attack next year. And that is how, of course, they got caught subsequently in 2009. Radicalization is the weapon, a potent weapon which the Pakistan army has been using effectively. And that radicalization helps them to get a lot of recruits. And they always play this religious factor somehow. And this is their weapon. This is what they are trying. This is what they have tried even in Afghanistan to target the Hazaras. And this is what their intent is in the entire thing. And now they are trying it even in Bangladesh. So what I'm trying to say is, with the way things are going on in Bangladesh, Pakistan's intent is very clear. They definitely will continue to do a lot of things. There is no denying of that fact. You have seen Pulwama happened, Uri happened, Pathankot happened. So yet, yes, only thing is that time it was more against military establishment, military troops. But we cannot rule out even any attack on the civil network, civil infrastructure, civilian people. So what I'm trying to say is that anything is a possibility. And as a nation, India should not be on relaxed mode, that nothing will happen. I have heard some people saying, in the last few years, no terrorist attack has taken place. No, that is a very wrong message which goes. We have to be on alert. See, when the intent is very clear, when the aim is very clear, to destabilize India, they will go to any extent, and radicalize is a weapon. And the way the scenario is going on, even in Bangladesh, they are targeting minorities over there. This is with the intent, so that radicalism on religious basis, the communalism keeps spreading. And this is why you will have so many sympathizers maybe in India. Even these two gentlemen, when they came to India and they did all the recce and they were staying in Mumbai and going to other places in India for reconnaissance, who was helping them? Obviously, some of the Indian sympathizers. Not only that, your point to note is that one of the fellows was this Tahawwur Rana was a Canadian citizen. How has the Indian embassy given him a visa? Despite knowing his credentials, I'm quite sure when the embassies give all these visas, they go into detailed checks. Similarly, the Indian consulate in Chicago, how had they given this visa to David Headley? In fact, incidentally, his name was always Dawood Gilani. In fact, I would request all the media channels to call that name. He only switched over to this Headley in 2005. Who told him to change his name? Mir Jafar. And that is after that, that is what has happened, that he started coming to India for reconnaissance. So what I'm trying to say is, how was he given visa there? who are the Indian supporters. So many things are there. Pakistan has got a lot of inroads into our setup, and we have to be on alert. All the people who help them, who are the supporters, who are the sleeping cells, they have to be identified. Again, otherwise, let me tell you, their intent is clear. They will keep targeting, and we have seen just in the last few weeks, Lalyali, they killed an army officer. That's the place where I commanded my brigade. You see, other day in Kathua, all these places, Rajouri, Poonch, and even I feel this Rajouri, what has happened, in one village, so many people dying due to some kind of a disease. Till date, no one has been able to identify. Let's not be surprised if it is some grand design of Pakistan, some experimentation going on. So what I'm trying to say is every possible aspect is possible with this nation, this evil nation. They will do anything. Jihad is their so-called motivation. Religious ideology is a motivation. You have seen even after this Gaza attack, the whatever has been going on in Gaza, the Hamas people were in Pakistan and there were celebrations. So what I'm trying to state is anything is possible, and the targets will be Indians, Israelis, Americans, Britons. Even in you see 2611 passports were checked of Britons and Americans, and they were targeted. So this is a very, very clear-cut thing which is going to happen, and India is definitely to be targeted. We cannot be on a relaxed guard.
Well, we'll also, in fact, give you an idea about the vehicle in which Tahawwur Rana will be brought in. 2611 accused Tahawwur Rana will be brought from Palam Airport to NIA headquarters in bulletproof vehicle. Now, according to sources, along with the bulletproof vehicle, a marksman vehicle has also been kept on standby. Delhi Police Special Cell commandos are also on standby with this vehicle. Marksman vehicle is a very secure vehicle. Kind of attack is ineffective. Now, the special cell uses this vehicle to transport dreaded terrorists and gangsters to the court and the agency offices. In fact, we shall also go to Yashwardhan Azad, the former special director IB. Yashwardhan Azad, you heard this entire question. The question is how, or rather till now it has been quite defensive against the network in Pakistan. We are either reacting after an attack or probably defending ourselves or keeping a step ahead of it. But to dismantle this network that has been harassing our country for years together, what can be further done?
Well, let me say that our security grid is pretty strong. And the problem, the advantage which Pakistan has is the border. Border can never be completely sealed. So, you have to take these hits as another day in office. Whether it's the army, whether it's the police on the border, they're absolutely vigilant. I mean, all along the border, whether it's they're trying the drone attack, whether they are trying the drugs movement, whether they're trying to move in people through the Jammu sector. So in that respect, I would say that we're doing a good job. I mean, the thing is that we should be prepared. Yes, we should always be prepared. And a state like Pakistan would definitely try and do whatever it can. Now, as far as the networks here are concerned, I mean, you have the PFI, which is one of the most internally destabilizing networks that we have. We have been arresting them. NIA has done his 18th arrest, in fact, Shadab Alam, who has been laundering money and helping them in that case in Pulwari Sharif in Patna. ED has been also, catching, even they have arrested the president of the PFI. These are the kind of networks or the cells which are able to assist. And I think it's on. One of the important things mentioned has been radicalization. And therefore, that anti-radicalization efforts have to certainly go on. There's no doubt about that. And I think that's about all. That's exactly what we can do. But there are other threats also that we have to keep in mind. There are other inputs also, whether it's from the Nepal side, whether it's on the other border side, Bangladesh side. So all in all, the intelligence agencies and the security agencies have to be on the alert to take care of all this.
Well, alert is the word that we need to in fact look for. Aditya Raj, another thing is that interestingly that what even Sanjay Mason had said, that when people change their passports, how easy it is for them to go under the security grid and pass out from that security analysis and move straight into the country, because over here the Canadian passport was on which they got the visa.
Well, look, we are talking about 17 years ago. Since then, a lot has changed. A lot of technology, AI, etc., is in use. Also, there's a lot of coordination between intelligence agencies. There is not just coordination between India, US, but India and a lot of Western countries, Middle Eastern countries, and also, internally in India, between the intelligence agencies and other agencies, there is a MAC that comes as a centralized agency for intelligence inputs. A lot has changed. There is NIA that came into existence, almost 2 decades ago. So, it's very clear that it's not as easy as it was perhaps 15 or 20 years ago. A lot of course correction has happened. A lot of advancement in technology has led to these course corrections also. So, as of now, I think it's not easy. But yes, illegal entries do happen. Illegal visas also do happen. That is something that needs to be worked around at this point in time. But in particular, the emphasis is not only on the fake passport or the fake identification, etc. The emphasis is also on how these characters visited India, where all they visited, could they have more sleeper cells in place? Because remember, it was not just David Coleman Headley and Tahawwur Rana who visited India several times, and they spoke on phone more than 230 times. Having conversations on which all targets should be chosen. Sajid Mir also was in India perhaps, and also visited a cricket stadium where a cricket match was underway, and he was the most brutal person within the Pakistan ISI setup who was directing the terrorists to make the killings in Khabad House and other places. So a lot of these characters are in the Pakistani territory, and that's why unreachable at this point in time. But I think Tahawwur Rana in Indian custody is a big development. It will unravel a lot of mysteries. It will also expose Pakistan further on what it has done during the Mumbai 26/11 attacks, and it will expose how the direct involvement of the Pakistan ISI and the army has been there in this entire operation, and perhaps he will spill beans on the real identities of these people who we know as Major Iqbal and Sajid Mir, and perhaps a few more who were involved in this entire operation. Perhaps it's been 17 years, but still he knows some of the places in India where there could be still sleeper cells or others conducting future operations.
Well, also that brings me to the next question which I wanted to ask, is that Pakistan as an entity, of course, from outside has its own government, its own armed forces, but then within structures there are structures. People are taking or calling shots from within structures. We call it, or we are trying to call it, the deep state, but there is a deep state within a deep state as well. So as long as these entities exist, it looks like it is going to be a multi-pronged approach that we'd have to take just to monitor all these separate structures within structures that are there within Pakistani establishment.
I think already the government of India has changed its policy, and there's been a drastic paradigm shift on the way we deal with Pakistan, especially after the Pulwama terror attack. Both internally and externally, we made changes. We did the Article 370 abrogation the same year. We also conducted the Balakot strikes that has risen, in the escalation scale, and Pakistan realizes that if there is a terror attack that causes casualties and shakes the conscience of India, there will be repercussions, there will be consequences. So it's not an India which will look the other way and will only launch investigations and not respond. So that's why we've seen the terror graph has reduced drastically. But as Major General Mestin also said, this is not the time to be complacent. This is not the time to think that everything is hunky-dory and nothing would certainly happen. Pakistan Army in particular and ISI are known to change their strategies time and again, as we see in Jammu and Kashmir today. There is a situation heating up in Balochistan and KPK. So they want to deflect attention towards Jammu and Kashmir again, in particular the Jammu division, where a lot of infiltration has taken place. Only yesterday evening there were multiple encounters in Kishtwar and Udhampur, and we know what happened in Kathua. So there have been casualties on the Indian side as well. So of course Pakistan wants to heat up situation in Jammu and Kashmir, try to internationalize it and show to the global community that J&K is still active and there is terrorism, the so-called insurgency is still underway. But India is ready. I think the Indian agencies are very much in charge. The intelligence agencies have inputs, and of course our counter-terror grid is also very strong. And now of course we are just waiting for Tahawwur Rana to be welcomed at the NIA headquarters to spill the beans on the Pakistan ISI's role in Mumbai 26/11 attacks.
Well, also let's in fact get Sanjay Mason on this. Major General, one major aspect of it has been that there is a reply that we've been giving to Pakistan, and also the question that I've asked Aditya Raj is also structures within structures, and we are monitoring, and the way we deal with Pakistan is also different. But there is always this danger. Someone in this vast network of structures would also want a direct confrontation, or maybe a majority of them do not want it, but someone within that structure could actually be the mad person who would want the war to escalate and create a situation which he, in his ideological belief, would be what would be the final clash. So is that danger still lurking?
Yeah, definitely that danger lurks. Recent examples is 9/11 happened in US. Hamas, they surprised the Israelis. What does this reflect? That they have done it very well knowing that there is going to be massive retaliation. Massive. We have seen what Israel is doing today, IDF is doing, massive retaliation. The Palestinian people are suffering. What happened after 9/11? There was massive retaliation. For 21 years almost, the United States with 52 countries was in Afghanistan, and they have targeted even a lot of Pakistani assets or the Pakistan terrorists, including, I remember when I was in Afghanistan, a Pakistani post was targeted by the United States, where I think 23 of the Pakistan Frontier Corps people were killed. So what I'm trying to say is, these terrorists, they actually do not know what is going to be the end state. They enjoy, through their radicalism, to just resort to terrorism. They do not think what is going to be the retaliation. And this is what the whole thing is, that you ask a very pertinent question. Some of them, yes, there would be some of them who are actually mad people who do not realize. You look at Musharraf, he had planned Kargil. With what intent? He knew Indian forces are going to retaliate very, very badly. We retaliated. So these kind of people can do anything, and there are some elements, and let me tell you, within ISI also there are a lot of other factions. Because most of the ISI people now, they have retired. There, some of them are 60 years, 70 years. They have got used to that money. So they are today doing some kind of jiggery-puggery to be on the panels and doing something which even the ISI chief may not be aware. So there is a very critical situation. So now what it comes to is retaliation. See, sometimes what happens, a major tactical incident, for example, 26 tactical maneuver they did. Look at Pulwama, it was a tactical incident. Look at Uri. These become a national embarrassment for any nation. Netanyahu faced the national embarrassment after Hamas attack. Tomorrow, God forbid, there is a major attack in India, a terrorist attack, a tactical attack, where large number of casualties are there. The political leadership will have a lot of pressure from the country to retaliate. So therefore, what I am trying to say, it's a very catch-22 situation. People on that side can do anything because they are not worried about the consequences. Pakistan army is very clear. They do not want a war with India because they know what will be the consequences. But who controls their people who can do anything? So the Pakistan army also would not be aware about so many of the people what they are doing. Everything is beyond their control. So therefore, what comes is, what should be our retaliation? Large number of options exist, but the fact of the matter is, I would state one thing. Prevention is the best cure, and the best way to prevent is we have to be on guard, alert. Our intelligence has to be of the highest order. Today, porous borders in Nepal are a matter of great concern. Northeast is a great concern. What is happening in Bangladesh is a great concern. So our intelligence, cross-border terrorism has to be totally shunned. Counter-infiltration grid has to be there. It is not easy, let me tell you, because the areas are vast. There are the terrain is very, very bad. Nevertheless, we have to be on alert, and within country, I think we have to have a very clear-cut strategy to continue tracking and monitoring these so-called sleeper cells or supportive elements
Right.
who some of have got radicalized and want to continue to support Pakistan. So it's a very interesting subject. These people can do anything. They can do anything, not worried about the consequences. I've told you about 9/11, Hamas and so forth. So anything is possible. We as a nation have to be on alert to prevent it. And that is the best strategy. Imagine Netanyahu, in case his security setup and intelligence was so good, this embarrassment wouldn't have happened. And now, of course, Hamas has suffered, Palestinian has suffered, but at what cost? So it brought today Netanyahu's political survival has become a big question mark. So politically also it is a very, very sensitive issue because the nation then wants answer. Why? What are we doing? Pulwama, after Pulwama, exactly same thing happened. So these are very good question you have asked in fact.
Well, we'll have to slip into a short break, but we will discuss about this on the other side of the short break that is coming in.
Smash your way to glory at the News9 Corporate Badminton Championship. Get ready for the ultimate badminton showdown. News9 presents the biggest corporate championship, a battle of skill, speed and supremacy. Cash prize of 6 lakh rupees across categories. Venue, Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad. Dates, May 9th to May 11th. A chance to showcase your talent and make a mark. The court is set. Are you ready? Register now.
I need expert performance. I need my career.
Well, welcome back. We are in fact speaking about how the extradition of Tahawwur Rana, 17 years has passed and that effort is in fact finally paid off. He will be brought into India and would give a plethora of information is what intelligence agencies are hoping that will help in connecting the dots when it comes to the 26/11 incident. Well, with us we have Aditya Kaul, who has been in fact following this story from the time it has been looked into, especially from Tahawwur Rana's last appeal in the court, how it's been dismissed from then onwards, the entire follow-up being carried out by the Indian agencies, and how we are in fact at this position where we are going to get Rana in Indian agencies' custody. Well, we were talking to Mason about brickmanship, and if massive retaliation doesn't deter, what could deter? But again, the question over here would Pakistan seems to be not bothered about it. Maybe the legislature, or the defunct legislature that we would call, seems to be bothered about something that could happen. But the entire state, the state that holds the money, the state that has structures within structures, they don't seem to be bothered about it. So before we in fact come to this, Ujjwal Nikam is in fact reacting on this. Let's listen in.
नंतर कमेंट करू शकतो आता नाही
सर हिंदी में जानना चाहेंगे राणा को आज इंडिया लेके आ रहे हैं इंडिया गवर्नमेंट का कितने बड़ा सक्सेस है सर एजेंसी प्लीज सर
देखिए आप मुझे पता है कई बार ऐसा होता है कई लोगों को कैमरा चलता है तो उनको दिक्कत आती है मैं तो आउटस्पोकन हूं
सर क्या बोलना है आपको इसके ऊपर
बोल रहा हूं नहीं क्या बोलना है
सर
एवढा छोटासा प्रश्न आहे सर आरोपींना व्हीआयपी असा जेलमध्ये आरोप केला जातो की आरोपींना जेलमध्ये व्हीआयपी ट्रीटमेंट दिली जाते अशा पद्धतीने देखील आरोप प्रचार केला जातो
सीआयडी बघेल सीआयडी कडे चौकशीचा भाग आहे सीआयडी तपास करेल सरकारचं लक्ष आहे
धनंजय देशमुखांनी आज तुमची
त्या संदर्भात तुमच्या चर्चा एक आरोपी लातूरच्या जेलमध्ये ठेवण्यात आला आहे तो सुद्धा विषय यातला एक आरोपी लातूरच्या तुरुंगात आहे त्या आरोपीने सुरुवातीला अर्ज असा केला होता की मला लातूरच्या तुरुंगात ठेवावं परंतु असं दिसतंय की त्याला एकटं असल्यामुळे आता तिथे करमत नाहीये म्हणून त्याने इच्छा व्यक्त केली.
In fact, they're trying to Ujjwal Nikam trying to speak with the media. So the question that we were asking is that since there is no kind of a massive retaliation also doesn't become a kind of deterrence, and it's kind of a suicide mission that is in play. Probably you're trying to control every time, or you're trying to keep away those people who have that intent that they don't care of the consequences.
You know, Varghese, the deterrence in Pakistan today is the unknown gunmen. The unknown gunmen, walking on the streets of Karachi, Lahore, in some cases Balochistan and KPK as well, which is just going on a killing spree. I think our panelists also spoke about Israel. What happened on 7th October was dastardly and cowardly, but it also exposed the failures of, Shin Bet, Mossad and other intelligence agencies within Israel. But what Mossad did immediately was to take a pledge that whatever may happen next, we will go after all the perpetrators of the dastardly terror attack in southern Israel. And they made it happen. Within a year, they have wiped out the entire leadership of Hamas, Hezbollah, and all the, state or non-state actors or so-called elements who were responsible for the carnage. So I think political will in many ways changes the course of history. During 26/11 and after, it's been debatable to a great extent. Many people have written books on it, the former NSA as well, where I'm told that there were options considered after Mumbai 26/11 as well to strike at Murid K, the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Toiba, but it did not happen. Perhaps the political establishment at that time chose not to do it. I'm not going into why or if, but it did not happen. But since then we have come a long way. Since then also we have suffered a lot of terrorism, not just in the earlier days, of course, on the Indian Parliament and other places, but we have seen Pulwama, we have seen Pathankot, we have seen Nagrota, we have seen Uri, we have seen Dinanagar, a lot of countless terror attacks. And I think at some point in time we ran out of patience. Prime Minister Modi also went to Pakistan on an unannounced visit to Lahore, and while efforts were made politically, the Pakistan army never had the intent to have some kind of a negotiation for peace. There was track 2 dialogue also that happened in Thailand, in UAE and other places, but that also did not materialize many things. At the SARC level we had meetings, but the SARC is no longer functional. It's a defunct body. So I would say that the policy of isolating Pakistan to a great extent, of ignoring Pakistan since 2019 has been well calibrated, but the challenge of terrorism remains. We have of course achieved a lot in Kashmir, but to think that overnight this curse and scourge of terrorism will end, or Pakistan will stop its habit of poking its nose into India, will end, it's not going to happen. The challenge of terrorism will remain, of course, through technology, through of course multi-agency coordination, of course the political will, and also the great officers that we have had in multiple agencies. We have been able to fight terror very strongly, and that is the reason that today Tahawwur Rana is perhaps any moment now on the Indian territory and will be giving more details. Now many would feel that it's been 17 years and a lot of time has passed, what will this result in? I don't think that this is just narrative building. I firmly believe that every such case that has turned the course of history needs to culminate at a particular point where there is at least of justice. At least the perpetrators that we could get need to face the law of the land, and the wheels of justice need to move. And that's what Ajmal Kasab faced, and that's what Tahawwur Rana in many cases would face. I'm not sure whether since he's a Canadian citizen and death sentence is banned there, so how it would be functional and what kind of assurances we have given to USA, but at maximum would be possible. But I'm sure that the Indian society would certainly seek for a death sentence for Tahawwur Rana, looking at the kind of damage and the killings, the dastardly killings that happened in Mumbai.
Well, in fact, let's not forget the kind of trouble that there. In fact, the BJP is giving a press conference on this matter. Let's listen in.
सो के गुनहगार को उसके गिरेबान पर उसकी गर्दन पकड़कर उसे 7 समंदर पार भारत के अंदर घसीटकर न्याय के पथ पर और न्याय की दहलीज पर लाने का काम आज किया जा रहा है। तहव्वुर राणा का जो एक्सट्रेडिशन है, इसका जो प्रत्यर्पण है, यह कोई आम एक्सट्रेडिशन या आम प्रत्यर्पण नहीं है। यह नए भारत के संकल्प का प्रतिबिंब है, जिसे 2019 में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने परिभाषित करते हुए कहा था कि अगर कोई भारत की एकता, अखंडता, सुरक्षा, अस्मिता या किसी भी निर्दोष भारतवासी पर हमला करेगा और ऐसी जुर्रत करेगा, तो भारत, नया भारत, ऐसे आतंकी को चाहे पाताल से ही क्यों नहीं खोज कर न्याय के पथ पर लाने का काम करेगा और इंसाफ की दहलीज पर पहुंचाने का काम करेगा। यह आज का प्रत्यर्पण केवल एक प्रत्यर्पण नहीं है, बल्कि यह संकल्प है, यह भारत का और नए भारत का संकल्प है कि आतंकी हमले होने पर हम मौन और मूक दर्शक बने नहीं रहेंगे, बल्कि हम मुंह तोड़ जवाब घर में घुसकर देंगे। यह उस नए भारत का प्रतिबिंब है जो पाकिस्तान द्वारा प्रायोजित इस्लामिक आतंकवाद, इस्लामिस्ट आतंकवाद के प्रति जीरो टॉलरेंस रखता है और वोट बैंक की राजनीति को राष्ट्र नीति के ऊपर हावी नहीं होने देता है, किसी भी प्रकार से उस पर समझौता नहीं होने देता है, बल्कि हमेशा हमेशा देश हित और राष्ट्र हित को सर्वोपरि रखने का यह नए भारत का संकल्प है। और यह वो नए भारत का प्रतिबिंब है जिसका ध्येय वाक्य वो बन चुका है जो हम हर 26/11 की बरसी पर देखते हैं कि इंडिया विल नाइदर फॉरगिव एंड इंडिया विल नाइदर फॉरगेट। भारत ना आतंकियों को कभी भूलेगा, ना भारत इन आतंकियों को कभी माफ करेगा। चाहे पाताल ही सही, हम पाताल में भी घुसकर आतंकियों की गर्दन पर हाथ रखकर उन्हें खींचकर न्याय के पथ पर लाने का दमखम रखते हैं। यह उस नए भारत के संकल्प का प्रतिबिंब है। यह भारत की आज की जो है संकल्पित एक मानसिकता है। आज केवल 138 भारतीय विक्टिम्स के लिए ही नहीं, बल्कि 26/11 में जो मारे गए यूएस, इजराइल, फ्रांस, जर्मनी, इटली, मलेशिया समेत कुल 17 से 18 देशों के विक्टिम्स, उनके लिए न्याय के पथ पर एक बहुत बड़ा कदम है इंसाफ की ओर। इट इज अ बिग स्टेप टेकन फॉर ensuring and coming closer to justice and closure, not just for the 138 Indian victims, but the victims from many other countries, including the United States, Israel, France, Germany, Canada, Malaysia, almost 17 countries. आज तुकाराम ओमड़े से लेकर मेजर संदीप उन्नी कृष्णन, आज हवलदार गजेंद्र सिंह से लेकर मुंबई पुलिस के जाबाज पुलिस ऑफिसर विजय सालास्कर, हर एक शहीद सुरक्षाकर्मी के प्रति, हर एक शहीद एनएसजी कमांडो के प्रति यह भारत की भावपूर्ण श्रद्धांजलि भी है। और यह एक ऐसा स्टेटमेंट है कि भारत के जो भी सुरक्षाकर्मी हैं, उनकी शहादत, उनकी कुर्बानी भारत मां की अखंडता और एकता के लिए हम कभी व्यर्थ होने नहीं देंगे। मित्रों, ये एक और चेतावनी भी है। आज तहव्वुर राणा को जब लाया जा रहा है और ये दृश्य पूरी दुनिया में जा रहे हैं, भारत में हर कोने में, हर घर में जा रहे हैं, तो ये एक चेतावनी भी है हर एक वो आतंकी के लिए, आतंकी साजिशकर्ता के लिए, मास्टरमाइंड के लिए, चाहे आप दुनिया के किसी कोने में, किसी बिल में छुपकर क्यों ना बैठे हो, आज भारत मोदी सरकार के तहत आप जहां भी होंगे, आपको चुन चुन कर ढूंढेगी और आपके बिल से निकालकर आपको न्याय के पथ पर लाने का काम करेगी। मित्रों, पिछले 10 वर्षों में आतंक और आतंकवाद के प्रति हमारा एक सी चेंज हुआ है एटीट्यूड में। और आज का जो एक्सट्रेडिशन है वो उसी का दरअसल एक सिम्टम है, एक प्रतिबिंब है, जो 10 वर्षों में आतंक और आतंकवाद के प्रति एक चेंज्ड माइंडसेट और एक चेंज्ड एटीट्यूड है। आपको याद होगा इससे पहले 2004 से 14 के बीच में खासकर ऐसा कोई महीना नहीं होता था जहां पर भारत के किसी बड़े शहर में कोई बड़ा आतंकी हमला ना हुआ हो। आपको याद होगा 2005 में दिल्ली, 2006 में वाराणसी, 2007 में लखनऊ, 2008 में जयपुर, बेंगलुरु, अहमदाबाद, दिल्ली, मुंबई, अगरतला, रामपुर, 2009-10 में असम और पुणे, 2011 में दिल्ली, 2013 में हैदराबाद, बेंगलुरु, बोधगया, अलग अलग जगहों पर और बड़े बड़े शहरों पर आतंकी हमले जैसे नॉर्मलाइज हो गए थे। और जब भी कोई आतंकी हमला होता था तो स्टैंडर्ड ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीजर यही होता था कि भारत मूक दर्शक बना अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मंचों पर केवल और केवल अपनी दलील रखता था, रिपोर्ट रखता था, परंतु ऐसे आतंकी और ऐसे आतंकवाद को प्रायोजित और स्पॉन्सर करने वाले तमाम ताकतों पर कोई ठोस कार्रवाई नहीं हो पाती थी।
Well, that's all in this edition of the Bulletin. Stay tuned to News 9 for further news updates.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
I need expert performance. I need my career.
Smash your way to glory at the News9 Corporate Badminton Championship. Get ready for the ultimate badminton showdown. News9 presents the biggest corporate championship, a battle of skills, speed and supremacy. Cash prize of 6 lakh rupees across categories. Venue, Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad. Dates, May 9th to May 11th. A chance to showcase your talent and make a mark. The court is set. Are you ready? Register now.
In a huge setback for bike taxi services in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu races ahead with 9.69% growth rate. India's fastest growing state this year. Good for Tamil Nadu. You may not be directly involved with what your son or daughter does, but your influence does work.